Let's get it on then, shall we? Mwah. Welcome to Sex on the Peach, your weekly hump day dose of everyone's favourite untalked about topic, sex. Let's get honest, let's get open, let's get comfortable, and let's get into this week's show. Friends, lovers, listeners, happy Wednesday, happy hump day, and happy Sex on the Peach day. Before we start, I do just want to say I am currently in Italy and I do not have my usual setup with me. So please forgive the slightly ratchet sound situation that I have going on. But listen, my commitment to you and to this day runs very deep. So come rain or shine, come UK or Italy, come Blue Yeti microphone or basically a voice note recording, I am here to talk to you about a very special day. 2 years ago, I posted my first ever video on my podcast page, and it was in honor of this very day. Maybe my favorite day of the year, at very least, my favorite national holiday, the official day of the climax. It is National Orgasm Day. From the ancient Greek word orgasmos, I'm pretty sure that's not how you pronounce it, but that's what we're going with. Anyway, it means excitement or swelling. Obviously, very apt. But today is basically going to be a whistle-stop tour of all things orgasm. We'll be keeping it short and sweet for once, so that you can save the majority of the day for the good stuff. Ideally, I would love every day to be National Orgasm Day for you all. As we probably already know by this point, I'm a twice a day kind of gal, because otherwise I'm quite simply turning into a little bit of a bitch. For me, it generally solves most of life's problems. Tired? Have an orgasm. Need to be more productive? Have an orgasm. Feeling sad, anxious, angry, happy? Have an orgasm. Waiting for your coffee to brew? What else is there to do? Have an orgasm. Stuck on hold for customer service? Have an orgasm. You get my drift. Although, listen, sometimes I definitely start and then I realize, actually, no, this isn't even what I needed. Maybe I'm just a bit hungry, but hell, I'm going to fucking finish anyway. Because just like a workout, you will generally always feel better for having done it. So let's get right into this celebration today. Here is the Big O-ccasion. Okay, so let's talk about why National Orgasm Day exists. Yes, it's celebrated on July 31st, and it is a day dedicated to raising awareness about the importance of sexual health, understanding, and most importantly, pleasure. It is definitely the perfect day to break the taboos surrounding discussions of sex and pleasure and to encourage more open, healthy conversations, whether that's with your partners, your friends, yourselves. Orgasms are a wonderful, natural, and healthy part of human sexuality, but let's be honest, they don't often get the accurate attention that they deserve. In fact, the female orgasm has been incorrectly depicted since the creation of God's green earth. You know how you watch Grey's Anatomy and you convince yourself you're now a doctor, or Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and the next thing you know, you are considering walking around with a stake just in case you have to start taking down those mythical creatures, or you're giving it detective energy because you've watched far too many true crime documentaries and you now think you can solve every world crime mystery. When in reality, working as a doctor or a detective or a vampire slayer is nothing like how it is depicted in a Netflix drama. Right. Well, then it's no wonder that you think you know how a female orgasm works. But all we've had is terrible, inaccurate depictions of it thrown in our faces forever. Even Sex and the City, which was supposed to be a progressive and sex positive TV show of its time, I know that those four women were not having as many penetrative orgasms as they were making out on that show. In fact, the likelihood of four women in a friendship group all being able to orgasm through penetration is so heavily unlikely. And we will be getting onto that. But basically, we were brought up in a culture and society filled with media that showed us that a female orgasm is a byproduct of the male orgasm. In sex ed, if you even had it, we were taught that all you really need in sex is for a man to have an orgasm and then you can reproduce. And that's it. That's what we were taught. You all know at this point, I'm never coming from a place of blame, but we were brought up in this way that not only made the male orgasm far more valued than the female orgasm, but also presented it completely incorrectly. So before we get more onto those issues, let's touch on some basics. Orgasms are not just about pleasure. Get ready for it. They also have several health benefits. Yes, they play a vital role in your sexual health in the way that they can enhance intimacy and connection between partners. They reduce tension. They contribute to a satisfying sex life. But research has also shown that regular orgasms can help reduce stress, improve sleep, boost your immune system, and even increase your lifespan. So I'm presuming at this rate, I'm going to be going till I'm about 146. So why do we need a National Orgasm Day? Well, despite the benefits, there's still so much misinformation and stigma surrounding orgasms and surrounding sexual pleasure. Even though I am trying day by day to change that, there's no getting around the fact that many people still feel embarrassed or uncomfortable talking about their sexual needs and experiences. And National Orgasm Day is an opportunity to try and break down those barriers by promoting education and having more open dialogue around sex. It reminds us that sexual health is a crucial part of our well-being and also that everyone deserves to experience and enjoy sexual pleasure. However, I would like to make the point, it's very important to remember that not everyone experiences orgasms in the same way, and that's perfectly normal. And also, yes, we may be celebrating National Orgasm Day, but we also have to recognize that orgasms are not the only measure of sexual satisfaction. Pleasure comes in many forms and everyone's experience is unique. And I do want to recognize what everyone's experiences are, even though we are focusing on this today. But people can celebrate National Orgasm Day by, of course, orgasming, by engaging in some masturbation, but also raising awareness for what orgasms are and how to have one, especially aiming that towards women and vulva owners due to this social stigma surrounding the female orgasm, which is what I'm trying to do today. Raising awareness for the health benefits of orgasms, which we've just talked about. Raising awareness for the orgasm gap, which we are absolutely going to get onto, and also spreading discussion surrounding the practice of faking an orgasm. So there we go. The day isn't as silly or as trivial as you might think it is. There is actually much to be discussed and learnt about the orgasm. And let's kick it off with some fascinating science. I know you always love this bit, but really, I think it's important to know how your body works. So orgasms are not just about your genitals. Obviously, they definitely take center stage. But the truth is, an orgasm is more like a meticulously choreographed full body dance with many different processes working together. You can tell I'm working in a show at the minute because I'm comparing orgasms to dancing. Anyway, let's go with it. So first up, the most important sexual muscle, the brain. And during an orgasm, the brain pulls back on the reins of your decision-making and reasoning centers. It's like turning down the volume on that inner voice that overthinks everything. Wouldn't we love to be able to do that all day, every day? And at the same time, it cranks up the activity in the areas that process touch, movement, arousal. And that basically gets you in the mood and keeps you there. Then we also have the pituitary and adrenal glands, and these are your body's hormonal powerhouses. They produce a cocktail of hormones that enhance your experience, which is what make it pleasurable and sometimes, yes, even euphoric. They release oxytocin, which we also know as the love hormone, that's going to help create that feeling of connection and closeness. Then you've got dopamine, that happy hormone that brings on the blissful feeling that you get throughout, during, after an orgasm. And of course, it releases all those endorphins, those natural painkillers. They flood the body and just make everything feel fucking fantastic. Orgasms also engage a surprising number of muscle groups throughout your body, from your heart racing to your lungs when you're breathing heavily or gasping. It is a full body experience. Your diaphragm, your pelvic floor muscles, sometimes even your anal muscles, they all participate. They increase your blood flow. They enhance sensitivity. And that's what leads to that flushed appearance that we can sometimes get. But basically, yes, your genitals might be the star performers during an orgasm, but it really is an entire whole body event. It's a team effort, and it involves many different parts of your body working in perfect harmony, which is also why sometimes / a lot of the time, it just isn't happening. So whilst I know sometimes when I mention science, people immediately tap out because it's giving school, I think that when we know exactly how our body is working, we can also understand why it maybe sometimes isn't working in the way that we would like it to, because we think of an orgasm as this simple thing that should just be achieved, but actually it involves a lot going on in your body. And also, while we're at it, let's look at the wonderfully diverse world of orgasms. And back onto science, it has really broadened our understanding of the types of orgasms out there. And they are not just about gender categories. The human body is capable of a pretty impressive range of experiences, which we are going to break down briefly now. Number one, the clitoral orgasm. Yes, we are all about that direct clitoral stimulation. They are the most common way that a woman and vulva owner is going to orgasm. So it's time to stop the focus on only penetration, because this is the way your female vulva owner partner is going to be most likely to have an orgasm, which that's a statistic we'll get onto very shortly. Because we do also have the vaginal orgasm, and that is what comes from penetration, from stimulation inside the vagina. And the line between clitoral and vaginal orgasms can sometimes get a bit fuzzy depending on the kind of sexual activity that you are into or engaging in. Because I certainly know sometimes if I have had someone going down on me whilst using their hands, or someone using their hands whilst using a toy, or someone going down whilst using, you get my drift. You get what's going on. I'm kind of like, I don't even know what was orgasming then, but sometimes it can be a blended orgasm, which is really peak because it's giving combo deal, simultaneous clitoral and vaginal stimulation. It's a double dose of fun. The next one I can't relate to, but we'll be discussing it, of course, and that is an anal orgasm. And they happen due to anal stimulation, whether that's through anal sex, through toys, through fingers. And that sensation is actually often connected to the proximity of the rectum to the vaginal canal or the prostate. I don't know, but I believe it makes for some very interesting and pleasurable experiences. So to anyone out there experiencing your anal orgasms, I hold my hands up to you. I wish I could be in that group with you. And getting more popular and more common, maybe people are just talking about it more, is the nipple orgasm. Some people can achieve an orgasm just from nipple stimulation because it triggers the same neuro pathways in the brain that lead to an orgasm, which proves that pleasure really does come in all shapes and sizes. And I would like to say that when I got my nipples pierced, that's basically what I was promised. Have I come any closer to having a nipple orgasm? Absolutely not. They feel exactly the same as always. So I feel like I've been mugged off. So anyone out there having the nipple orgasms, please hit me up and let me know how to make that happen for myself, because I did not go through the pain of the nipple piercings for fucking nothing. And this is very, very, very important. So the human body's capacity for pleasure, it doesn't just stop at biology. Many people who have undergone gender affirming or gender reassignment surgeries can still experience all of these types of orgasms. The brain actually remaps the pathway for pleasure. So even with changes in physical organs, in genitalia, the effects can still be reached through different forms of stimulation. So if you are someone who is embarking on a transitional journey, and that is something that you might be worried about, that you might feel confused about, because God knows there's so much scaremongering out there, you don't have to be. Your brain is going to do that work for you. But also, I did have a wonderful conversation with my friend Radcliffe, who is in the trans and non-binary community, a couple of episodes ago, and we touched on a lot of this stuff. So if that is something you would like to hear more about, do feel free to tune into that episode too. But I guess we can say the human body can be a bit of a masterpiece of evolution. And the more we know about it, the more we know about how our bodies are operating, the more we can explore them and the more we can enjoy them. And multiple orgasms are a real thing. They are not just the stuff of legend. People across the board, regardless of gender, regardless of sexuality, can experience multiple climaxes during a single sexual encounter. And for women and vulva owners, it's actually not uncommon to rack up several, apparently sometimes even dozens of orgasms in one go. So I must be doing it wrong because I'm not hitting dozens. But it's giving pleasure marathon. It's giving never-ending roller coaster of pleasure. I'm jealous. And for the penis owners out there, it's a bit rarer, but it is still possible. But I think for most of you, there just needs to be a little bit of downtime in between whilst the body recharges. But as I've already mentioned, orgasms are as individual as each person experiencing them. Yes, generally speaking, there are some common effects of orgasm, which are the contractions of the muscles of the penis, the vagina, the anus. There's increased heart and breathing rate. There's flushing of the face, the neck, the chest. There's increased sweating. There's vaginal secretions or penile ejaculation. There's sensitivity to the touch of nerve endings, whether that's in the clitoris or the head of the penis. And yes, afterwards, there's feelings of contentedness, of relaxation, and often sleepiness. And all of these factors can vary, and there are also other experiences that are less common. For example, women, vulva owners, some ejaculate, some squirt during orgasm. And even now, experts seem to still disagree on how long the average orgasm lasts, because some say anywhere between 20 to 35 seconds, some say between 10 and 60 seconds. Others say up to 2 minutes. So I'm going to say additional research is needed, because to me, that sounds like quite a broad range. But at the end of the day, all that matters, the only thing that matters, is that it feels good for you and it feels good for your partner or partners. But how good is it feeling for you and your partners? Yes, it's time to look at the orgasm gap. And the orgasm gap is the difference in how often men and penis owners and women and vulva owners hit that big O during sex. So if you are a vulva owner and in a relationship with a penis owner, and you feel like there is a gap between the orgasms your penis owner partner is having and you are having during your sexual encounters together, you are not alone. Yes, the feminist movement is not just about employment and finances. We are literally suffering orgasm inequality. And let's get into why that might be. So if we head back into growing up, into education, what did we learn sex from? We mostly learned it from media, from TV shows, from movies. That was our first foray into seeing people be intimate. And if you think about a steamy sex scene from any of those TV shows or movies, the kind of scenes that your parents would have leaned over and put their hands over your eyes, again, not something that we should be doing, because why are we shaming sex? But that's a whole other topic, which we won't be getting into today. But if you think about that moment where you would have felt your parents' hands over your eyes, that would have been your moment. And in those scenes, the characters are always extremely in sync. It seems like a given that an orgasm is happening for both the man and penis owner and the woman and vulva owner. But in real life, that is so very rarely the case. In heterosexual encounters, women and vulva owners have far fewer orgasms than men and penis owners. And this disparity is what we now know as the orgasm gap, as orgasm inequality. And it is an actual documented phenomenon in scientific research for well over a few decades now. 95% of heterosexual men are usually always reaching orgasm during sex. In contrast, only 65% of heterosexual women and vulva owners said the same. Now, people might say that this is because biological factors come into play and it makes a woman, a vulva owner's orgasm harder to achieve. But actually, that doesn't hold up, because when we go further into the data, women have more orgasms when they are alone compared to when they are with a penis owner partner. So this isn't just a matter of biology, because the orgasms are possible. They are just not happening with the penis owner partners, and not by a small amount either, because at least 92% of women orgasm when they are alone. And that's a pattern that also continues with sexual experiences involving other women. So women and vulva owners usually always orgasm when intimate with other women and vulva owners. Now, that's a problem. You know, there's no way of denying that is problematic. And where is this disparity coming from? Because I know that I personally wouldn't feel great having that much distance between the amount of pleasure I was receiving versus my partner. And this is mostly because the situations where women and vulva owners are having more orgasms, there is a strong emphasis on clitoral stimulation, because most women need clitoral stimulation to reach orgasm. And that isn't really surprising, because the clitoris and the penis originate from a similar type of tissue in that they are both packed with sensitive nerve endings. And considering that only 18% of women frequently orgasm through penetration, it could be said, and it probably should be said, and you know what, it will be now, that the main reason for this orgasm gap is women are not receiving the clitoral stimulation that they require, with their penis owner partners. Now, listen, no blame, no shame, because this is very compounded by cultural messages that consistently prioritize intercourse, whether that is those movies, whether it's books, whether it is TV shows. It is always depicted that women are reaching orgasm through intercourse, through penetration alone. And it consistently reinforces the myth that penetration is the ultimate sexual act. And unfortunately, it's just not really cutting it. Like, society hyped up penetrative sex as the be all and end all, but it's a very narrow-minded view of sex, and it really overlooks the other ways that women and vulva owners might experience pleasure. So if sex continues to revolve around intercourse only and continues to skip all of the other forms of pleasure, it's only going to continue to contribute to this orgasm gap. So we need to start looking at ways to close it. And there are many ways to reach orgasm outside of sexual intercourse. There are erogenous zones all over your bodies, and that includes wild cards like the scalp, the armpits, the back of the knees, the feet. I've said many times, I think neck is quite a common one, but for me, my neck, my collarbone, my hip bones, all strong erogenous zones for me. But you need to spend time exploring your own body and your partner's bodies to figure out where those places are, because only you and your partner or partners can determine the best way to enjoy your sexual experiences. And one thing to think about, a recent study found that men averaged about 4 minutes before orgasm, whilst women were estimated to be closer to 20 minutes. So get comfortable, everyone. We're in it for the long haul. But I will say, this is the perfect day to have these conversations and to think about exploring beyond solely sexual intercourse if that is your usual practice. You may find you and your partner or partners achieving orgasm more frequently in all different parts of the body, from oral sex, masturbation, which you can do mutually, using sex toys. Also try introducing lube, because women and vulva owners are more likely to orgasm with it, and that's got nothing to do with how wet a woman gets for you, so let's let go of that immediately. But every sexual experience can be pleasurable and can lead to orgasm if it feels right for you and your partner or partners. Now, you don't need me to tell you this at 41 episodes in, that of course I'm going to tell you to talk about it. And I know that still might feel like a daunting thing, but I'll give you my own personal example from a very recent new sexual partner to help. They said to me about 2 times in, how do you orgasm more frequently, through penetration or foreplay? And whilst I can orgasm through both, it's definitely, I'd say, 80% foreplay, 20% penetration. So now that information is out there, I mean, what they decide to do with it is up to them. But we've had that conversation, and it wasn't a huge, we need to sit down and talk about sex, which I do think you should all be doing anyway. However, this was really just one quite simple question that you can ask your vulva owner partner today. And then when you know the answer, you can start making that happen. You can personally start contributing to closing that orgasm gap. Because if you've been rushing through foreplay to get to penetration, you need to back that shit up. You need to spend some more time. Do not rush through it. Try different things. Spend more time kissing. Spend more time touching. Spend more time giving your partner oral sex. Find out what makes them orgasm, and then do it more. I'm looking at you, penis owners, to start closing this orgasm gap with me. And I'm looking at you, vulva owners, to start being more honest about what you need. I feel like we can do it, but I need you all to work with me on this. And that doesn't mean that all of a sudden, penis owners, all of your needs go out of the window. I want there to be a balance. But if we are already seeing that kind of disparity, and that is the difference in ratio of how often you as a penis owner orgasm in comparison to a vulva owner, potentially your own vulva owner partner, because I don't believe that every single one of you listening has a vulva owner in that 18% to always come through penetration. This is why I said the thing about Sex and the City. I just don't believe that 4 women in one friendship group are orgasming that way. But, start thinking about what it might look like to put in that effort to close that orgasm gap between you and your partner, because I don't want women and vulva owners to be faking it anymore. And I also don't believe every man who comes to me when I say that, saying no one has ever faked it with them, saying no one has ever faked it with me. Yes, they probably have. That's something you're probably just going to need to accept and let go of, and just start making sure they don't ever need to fake it again. Because there's one way to ensure no fake orgasms. It's to put practices in place so they aren't necessary. But also, my women, my vulva owners, you need to help me on this too. Faking orgasms might seem like an easy way to avoid awkwardness or boost a partner's ego, but it just creates more problems in the long run. When you pretend to climax, you are essentially giving your partner a false sense of security, a false sense of what's working for you and what's not. And that's just going to lead to a cycle of unsatisfying sex. It's so important to be honest about your experiences and communicate openly about what you need to feel pleasure. Genuine communication helps build trust, it helps build intimacy, and it's always going to ensure that both partners are fully enjoying their sexual time together. It's perfectly okay not to orgasm every time, and honesty is going to be the best policy for a fulfilling and satisfying sex life. So please, no more faking. It's quite literally a waste of everyone's time. But let's start focusing on more pleasure for everyone. We want to close the pay gap. We want equal rights. And yes, we want to close the orgasm gap too, because I want to see women and vulva owners having the same level of pleasure as their male and penis owner counterparts. Now, listen. Sexual health, it's just as important as any other part of your general well-being. And sometimes there are going to be bumps along the way, and that is okay. It happens. Many people are going to experience some kind of sexual dysfunction or just general sexual challenges with finding a fulfilling and satisfying sex life along the way. These things can be caused by so many factors, whether it's mental health, hormone levels, your diet, your lifestyle, your genetics. And some common challenges might be premature ejaculation. It might be anorgasmia, which is the absence of having orgasms. And these conditions are common in people from all walks of life. Although 1 in 3 men between 18 and 59 years old report experiencing premature ejaculation. And up to 43% of women and vulva owners are reporting anorgasmia, the absence of having orgasms. Now, whether that's a condition or whether it's the proper communication and the proper practices haven't been put into place to try and help make that happen for them, I think remains a little space to be researched a bit more. But if you are experiencing anything like this or something similar, you're not alone. Think how many people that is. So please don't get in your head. Don't think there is something wrong with you. Remember, there are always steps to talk to medical professionals, to talk to sex therapists. There are people who are so equipped with the knowledge, the skill, and of course, the discretion to help you figure out what might be happening and how best to resolve it. So for someone who is going through something like that, a day like National Orgasm Day might feel like a fucking nightmare. But I would say it's a day to really tap into what is going on with you sexually and look at it and think about how you are feeling. And if there is something that is bothering you that doesn't feel good, start looking at ways to move forward and through it, because everyone, as I will always say, is deserving of pleasure. You don't have to sit in a space where you aren't having pleasure. So let's keep helping each other and contributing to more of us having it. And there is always, I promise you, a way through. But just take today to be honest with yourself about what you might need, and then start looking at ways to put that into place. And it should also be said, orgasms do not necessarily mark the end of a sexual experience, and they don't always have to be the only goal. Of course, yes, Orgasms are great, but they are not the only thing that matters in a sexual experience. Research has shown across time that for some, an orgasm is considered less of a sign of a successful sexual experience than things like frequent kissing, frequent cuddling, more frequent sex, higher sexual functioning. So, as long as your body feels good, regardless really of whether an orgasm occurs, you have found a great sexual experience. But if orgasms are something you would like to be experiencing more, again, there are things that we can put into place to make that happen for you. But I would just like to think that today, friends, lovers, listeners, whether you are single, whether you are in a relationship, take this day as an opportunity to explore, to celebrate your own sexual health, your own pleasure. Keep educating yourselves, keep communicating openly with yourself, with your partner, with your partners. And most importantly, keep enjoying the journey. Happy fucking National Orgasm Day, babies. Now go get yours. Friends, lovers, listeners, that's all from me today. I know I've kept it shorter and sweeter than I normally would, but I want to leave you the day to really get into that good stuff, whether that's a phenomenal conversation with your partner and whether that leads to more orgasms in the future. Maybe you're just going to settle down with your favorite sex toy and absolutely go to town. Either way, I hope you have a fantastic day today. I'm going to be very busy in the theatre all day. Will I find time to slip one in? We'll see. I guess we'll find out. I'll let you know. What I am going to do is leave you with some silly, interesting facts about the orgasm, such as at 45 kilometers per hour, ejaculation is speedier than Usain Bolt, the fastest man on earth. Absolutely love that. Some female animals, like pigs, ladies, we're going to be fucking jealous, can experience orgasms that last up to 30 minutes. What the actual fuck? If you ever worry about your sex space, which is a thing, not a thing, should not be a thing, however you look during sex, however you experience pleasure, gorgeous, we love it, we're here for it. But it's not just humans who make those faces. Dolphins specifically, but also most other animals have their version of an O face. So listen, everyone gets their silly expressions on in the heat of a moment. Nothing to feel uncomfortable about. This might be my favorite one thus far, however. Get ready. According to a study conducted by a sexual clinic in California, one woman and vulva owner experienced 134 orgasms in 1 hour. That is the most orgasms ever documented. That's over two per minute. I don't know about you, but I'd be exhausted. I don't think I'd ever recover. And by contrast, the record for men and penis owners, I'm sorry, it stands at a measly 16 orgasms in the same length of time. I'm not going to lie, it just sounds exhausting. Anyway, I just need to leave you with those little tidbits of information. But what I would like to say for today is, please let's remember, every single one of you out there is deserving of pleasure, no matter what gender identity, sexual identity, race, religion, ability, however you identify as a person in any which way, you deserve pleasure in the way that feels good for you. Let's focus on that today. Let's keep working on making that happen for you, for everyone else. Let's keep trying to build a world where pleasure is the focus, because don't you think we'd all be a bit happier? Anyway, I'm going to leave you with that today. Happy National Orgasm Day, my babies. I hope you have a fucking phenomenal day, and I will see you very soon. But for now, thanks for coming. Thank you for tuning in to Sex on the Peach today, and I hope that you enjoyed this week's episode. You can find and follow me on Instagram, YouTube and TikTok at Sex on the Peach Cast, and you can also get in touch with me at sexonthepeachcast@gmail.com. Please do continue to like, share, subscribe, rate and review wherever you listen to your podcasts, and I'll see you next week. Love, Peach.